All right, welcome back to Boring Reviews or Boring Land. You can call us whatever you want, just don't call us late for dinner.
Never late for dinner.
I love that joke. Nick here.
Chris.
And we are super excited to bring our review for...
Kesari.
I think that's how you say it. Very good. Kesari.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, if you have not seen our trailer reaction to Kesari, go ahead and just pause real quick. You won't mess up our view count. Boop. Go and check out the trailer reaction and then come back and unpause. Where's the sound effects at? Unpause. Boop. There we go. All right. So Kesari is a film that reminds me of 300 just because you have a small amount of men against a big group of men. It's nothing like 300, obviously. This film is the first that I know of that I've seen that has Akshay Kumar in it. He did a fantastic job.
Awesome job.
He played the character Singh, which is a very common name. It seemed like everyone's last name in that Sikh group that he went to the second time last name was Singh. I'm not sure if it's sometimes like a common name for a soldier or something like that.
I think it had to do with their religion as Sikhs.
Sikhs, I think is how you say it.
I think it's Sikh.
Anyways.
We'll see.
But he did a great job. So in this film, he is assigned to one fort, and, they're still under the rule of the British, so they have these British commanders, and there was that funny joke where they called him sergeant. You know what they call American lieutenants? They call them sergeants, which in translation in their language meant darling. So he's like, don't you dare call me darling. But they were under their control, their command, and he sees early on this woman getting destroyed. So Singh, he's with the other fort people, part of their soldiers, and he sees this woman getting, brutalized by these Pashtun soldiers, or maybe they're Afridi soldiers. But anyways, these guys who become the bad guys in the film, they are just brutalizing her. I'm sure she did something against their religion or against their culture, like maybe adultery or something like that.
She blasphemed against Allah, I believe is what she did.
Wow, that's hardcore. So she sinned against what they felt was appropriate, and they felt it was okay to destroy her. And so Singh wasn't having any of that. His commander said, don't get involved. He got involved. He took on all these guys. The thing I liked about that was it was realistic. He wasn't able to take on all of them by himself. He was able to hit a few and shoot or whatever, but he definitely needed some help. They stopped at one point. His fellow soldiers came out and supported him. I felt, okay, this is going to be a movie that's it's based on a true story. It's going to be rooted in some reality, which I really, really liked. But long story short, he saves the girl, ticks off the people. There's one guy with the beard who's really mad, and he's looking for some revenge.
That guy, I mean, he turns out to be, I'm assuming, the spiritual leader of these tribes or of this certain region. At least that's what I gathered from it, because he's able to, and in fact, I think they talk about him. They just gave his actions by saving that woman, gave that guy a reason to rally up everybody else and get them to rise up against these British fortresses in India, or Indian fortresses occupied by British rule. And so, when that happens, when he saves this girl, he goes back to his fortress that he's at first, and he's told he's being transferred to a new fortress where less likely anything will happen. And basically,
place, the postman.
Yeah, the post. Basically, there's 3 fortresses, and this one's in the middle, and it basically serves as the messenger between the two. And that's basically its primary role. So it doesn't need a lot of people. And right before he leaves and gets transferred, he's insulted by his British commanding officer that you see at the beginning of the movie, which just makes you hate the guy all the more because he's such a jerk.
Complete jerk.
And he says a word to him that, we're not going to say, but either way.
He says something that's not very nice.
Not the nicest. And
he says it a few times in the movie.
Does he?
Yeah.
Well, the main guy does at the end of the movie.
Yeah, but he says it to him earlier, too, when he gets in trouble.
Oh, he does?
Made me think of Meet the Parents, right? Is that the word you're thinking of?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
Either way. But either way, he's on his way to the new fortress. Well, hold on. We need to back up because when does his buddy get shot? It's before he leaves, isn't it?
So yes, his friend gets shot, and isn't it in the little skirmish that he causes, or they come back in revenge. That's what it is. They come back in revenge, right?
That's
and
right. Yeah,
them.
exactly.
And before that, he's like, man, it'd be so nice if I just got shot and nursed to health by a beautiful woman. That'd be so awesome. He gets shot in that little skirmish. They take care of those people.
Murphy's Law. Yeah.
Reinforcements come in. I mean, this is more of a serious fort where there's action that's happening, so they're prepared for it. And he's in there, and his buddy's like, "How's it going so far?" He's like, "It's not going so well. My dream did not come true." But yes, you're right. The buddy gets hurt. He finds out he's being transferred, and he gets really frustrated. He's like, we have to do whatever these British people tell us to do and say and act or whatever, and we're the one doing all the work, and I'm frustrated, and I want liberation. And you think that's what the movie's going to go on about, and it has a small part in his motivation later on. But that's not what the movie is. It's not about him getting freedom from the British. But we'll get into that later. So he gets transferred, and luckily for him, he's still the man in charge, right?
Yeah,
and what does
somehow.
he see when he gets there?
He gets there, and, I mean, he just sees people goofing around. They're having roosters fight each other for money. There's only, 20 people there, 21 people. And even the main officer of the place is, he has his shirt off. He's joking with the gatekeeper or whatever. And then, everyone gets really serious when he comes in. And, of course, he has to assume I'm in command, so I need to be serious. I'm not one of the guys. I'm not one of the boys. I'm their officer. And so he basically, transforms them from being lackadaisical to acting more like a unit. And eventually that leads in and sets up the premise for what happens in the movie.
Yeah, before we get there, he definitely has a lot of pride in being a Sikh and being a soldier. And, the turban is a big part of their uniform. And not just that, but their culture, too. Mm-hmm. And there's several parts of the movie where he, tossles it a little bit, let's get serious. And each time I'm like, he's not going to take it off, is he? But every time I got fooled by it. But I really like the part where he was bringing the men together, because he had so much pride and respect, and he was so disgusted that they did not, that as he got them together, he basically told them, you can't eat for the next day. And then it turned into 2 days, and then they kept talking back and messing up and not following through. To where he said you can't eat for 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks.
I mean, I thought to myself, I know the human body can survive without food for 2 weeks, but would I want to do that? No way. Is it very healthy? No way. You never, ever want to do that. It can be done, but you're talking about severe health issues. But they're like, are you kidding me? And they're complaining. And then after a day or two, he's just like, okay, gets to cook, go cook them food. The fast is over. They've learned their lesson. And one guy is so prideful. He's like, no, you're not going to tell us when we can eat. We can go 2 weeks. We're going to make it happen. And then what calms him down? What does he find out about the guy in charge, about Singh, that kind of calms him down?
Well, he finds out that the commanding officer, the main character of this movie, has also not been eating himself. And, he says, how can I eat when my comrades are starving as well? And so they begin to see that, it's not about him exerting control and authority over them. It's about teaching a lesson and trying to work as a unit should work.
Sorry to cut you off there. I love that so much because he's so frustrated with the way that the British are commanding him and his men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he doesn't want to do that.
When he first shows up, he's kind of acting like that guy. I'm like, hey, this is kind of being a hypocrite. But you find out that's not what it is. He is willing to do the same thing he's asking his men to do. And I feel like that's the best sign of a leader, where the person who's in charge is really the one giving the service to everyone else and making sure that I'm not better than you. I don't have to now take breaks more than you get to, but we're all in together. But one of us has to lead. And so for me, that was super powerful. I absolutely loved that part.
I mean, pretty much he was also saying, your mess ups, I also get punished for. My mess ups, you get punished for. We're in this together. And you're right, that is incredibly powerful, and that's when you really get to come to like him as the leader. I mean, you already like him at the beginning of the movie. Something we didn't hit yet is throughout this movie, you will see random scenes where his wife will come into frame, and they'll have an argument or something of that nature. And at first I was wondering, is she dead? Is she not dead? But then I realized, I mean, this is a great way to introduce this guy's life. And it's really it's just her in his head and what he would say to her in these specific moments. Because, you know, you're a soldier, you're out there in the middle of nowhere, you're going to miss family, you're going to miss home. And that is obviously how he copes with it. How he stays mentally strong is, you know, I have a family, everything's going to be okay, I just have to keep on going, have to get home. And he's able to push himself along with that.
And I'm not sure if it's every time, but most of the time he has those conversations when he's in his little garden where he's trying to grow something out there in the desert, and some people are making fun, like, you're not going to grow anything out there. I agree with you. I thought that was nice. That's a way to stay focused as a soldier, but also have some me time, and then I can converse with my imaginary wife, or she wasn't imaginary, but she wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really nice. And then we get to the main premise, like you mentioned, and the main premise is those tribesmen who he wronged rally together other tribes and other groups together to go after, let's just go after these 3 forts and let's show India and show England that we're awesome. And they're going to start with Singh's fort, which is the weakest one, where there's only 21 guys there, and they bring in 5,000 to 10,000 soldiers to attack them, and they're going to take on all 3 forts in one night. It reminded me of like a big old thing you would do in the game of Risk, where you got all your men together, your reinforcements, and we're just going to roll that dice. And I don't care how many men I sacrifice, because we're going to win the day, right? Because, I mean, a lot of guys were sacrificed.
Those defender dice are unstoppable, though. Man. You're like, all right, I'll attack with 3. I killed 2 of them. What is this?
Yes, I hate it. But that's what it reminded me of. But this movie was awesome. I mean, you have like an hour and a half at least of that whole scene. And it's great, that whole sequence. And, you know, these guys, they stood up. There were some awesome moments. And again, back to realistic moments. There weren't guys jumping off the roof and drop kicking me from the bottom and dropping back up and flying and whatnot.
Elbow drops.
I mean, there's moments where like 3 or 4 guys get taken out by the sniper really quickly. And I'm like, no, there's only 21 people there total. The sniper guy was kind of weird. That was a little out of place for me. He had like some jewelry.
I didn't understand. Is that must be a cultural thing
or something?
I wasn't sure what was going on.
Yeah, he had like this fancy rifle or whatever. That was kind of a weird part of it. I understand you're gonna have some snipers out there, but you know what kind of what's the phrase I'm looking like? What did he have in the game, so to speak? Like what was he doing there? Maybe he was just a hired gun. Or he just thought he was the best of the tribesmen. That was a weird part. He may have been
just a mercenary. That would make sense because he really didn't care about any of the other guys. He seemed to be, probably a hired gun. That's probably right. And maybe there's a specific kind of people like that who have that look and they're known to be mercenaries.
Yeah, I don't know. He had a lot of jewelry on for my taste. But
bling, bling.
If that's a cultural thing, then to each his own. But Kesari... This movie is awesome. Singh's character is fantastic. He really leads his men, and they put on quite the fight. I don't think it ever tells us how many they were able to defend before, you know, spoiler alert, they all get vanquished, even Singh himself. But it looked like at least thousands that they took out.
They took out a lot of people, and I am honestly surprised by the amount that they took out, even halfway through the movie, that... The leaders of the other side, like that main dude, the spiritual leader, was like, "Oh no, we'll take all fortresses." But I'm like, "You can't even beat 21 people, man! Like, are you kidding me?" Granted, these guys, you know, when he rallied them, they were at first ordered to, you know, you're going to stay there and you're going to fight to the best of your ability. You know, good luck. But that's something that we kind of glazed over, but. The main character, he didn't want to give his men this order that they were probably going to die from as a British order. He told them that, they want us to leave. What do you want to do? This is going to be entirely up to you. And he did that so that they can make the choice as men of their country. And they will die freely of their own choice. Not because they were ordered to, because some foreign power told them to, but because they want to defend their homeland, their values, and their family. And that is what made them, I believe, more powerful and more effective in defending that fortress. I'm not sure the other fortresses would have been as potent per person because they wouldn't, they wouldn't have, that bond, that unity, and that momentum already carrying in their mind.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to agree to be a part of something like that. It can't be an order. So that was a genius move by him. the guy who was the message receiver and message sender, whatever his name was,
super
the
young
younger
guy. Garukmar?
Yeah, that might have been it.
I think that's it.
He was a really interesting character because I related to him a lot. I've never been a soldier, never been in war, but I can't imagine that it'd be easy to be as brave as you have to be in combat. And he wasn't afraid to be like, I'm going to stand at the side and kind of last as long as I can. I don't blame the guy at all. You would love for him to be this warrior and just attack all these people, but it's just not in everybody. And he was so young, but at the same time, I loved his moment at the end where he finally...
he went out like a champion. Champion!
Oh, yes. He did. And again, talking about realism here, they could have had him take on, like, okay, now he's going to take on 1,000 guys because he's just...
He's awakened his inner animal.
He took on a few. He had some fire going on here and there. It was awesome. It was very, very fitting. I liked also how he was paying tribute to each soldier, writing down their name. Yeah,
that was really cool.
There was just a lot of cool elements, and when I was watching it halfway through, I'm like, really? And half of this movie with this scene, this battle, let's see where it goes. But every single part was captivating. The 6 were, dominating at first, like you said, per person. And then the tribesmen finally gained some ground, and they blew up that wall, and that really messed things up. Yeah. And then Singh, he had that sword on fire, right?
Ooh, that was amazing.
that was awesome parts.
I mean, yeah, when you stab, 4 or 5 guys at once, I'm like, that's a little excessive. But this is awesome. I'm going to let it fly.
Glorious. But, yeah, when those guys came in, he fought. I'm like, okay, now he's going to take on 1,000 guys. No. He lasted.
He took on a lot of guys, don't get me wrong. Took on a lot more than I would have.
World record. But, it was a very fitting movie. And, again, his message the whole time was, I'm fighting for India. Yeah. I'm not fighting for Britain. I'm not fighting for England or for anyone else. I'm fighting for India. I'm an Indian Sikh, and this is what we do. I really love some of the moments, like when the one guy, his arm was damaged and was bleeding, and the guy took off his turban, which is a big deal, to help him out. He had the hair flowing, but he helped him out and he wrapped it up, and that lasted for 2 seconds. The guy didn't need it, but it was all about what can I do for my fellow man, whether it's going to work or not. Again, me being more intellectual, kind of like, well, it's not really going to help you out, so you don't really need it. These guys were not afraid to sacrifice for one another.
It was all about, and that's what I love the most about this movie. Movies like this, they do bring a tear to my eye in certain moments because it's all about the symbolism and the meaning behind everything. Like you said, there's no realistic scenario where this binding of his wound would have saved his life, but it was about what we've learned, what the turban means to these people, and then to use that to save a person's life and to have it get dirty. It's much more than just a symbol. It's about and I don't know much about the Sikh religion, but it's to me it said that it's about helping people and serving people, and that's kind of the bottom core and treating each other as a brother. And that's what I also loved about this movie, and how the soldiers work together, how they sacrifice freely for each other, just whatever it took to get the job done, they did it.
The metal ring that was around their turban, I was waiting for them to use it as a weapon, and I thought, well, maybe it's not a weapon, maybe it's just a way to kind of clip it all together. But then my man Singh, he used it at the very end, and man, slicing and dicing.
See, I wasn't expecting it as a weapon. I thought it was just
it might have been in the trailer. I'm not sure.
But it was awesome when he did it, and I was like, oh, man, yeah.
You had that the whole time?
The whole time? We're in the Rockies. Yeah.
Extra gloves.
Dumb and Dumber reference. Sorry.
But anyways, with that being said, let's get into our grade. What grade do you give Kesari?
Okay, I really did enjoy this movie, but it is going to get a B+ for me. I really did, and the reason I'm giving it a B+ is I don't feel like I was necessarily blown away on the level like I was with Bahubali or with something like The Avengers, but this movie had a lot of heart. It wasn't just about the entertainment, and so because it's not necessarily groundbreaking, I'm putting it down at that B, but it is at the highest I can possibly give it for myself.
Fair enough. I can see 100% why you give it a B+. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I know some of our viewers might be like, what are you talking about? This movie just came out this year in March, so I love that. It's a recent film that we got to watch. When it comes to a grade, this is a tough movie to grade because I look at different things: direction, storyline, acting, visual effects a little bit, but not really too much, and emotion and how does it make me feel, all that kind of stuff. And for this, it checked all those boxes very easily. I can't find really any flaws in this film. I don't even think it was a slower film. It was powerful at the right time. I love the main character played by Kamar. I thought he did a fantastic job. So this is going to get a lot of people upset because they keep saying stop giving it this grade, but I'm giving this one an A- as well. Just
Stop
because...
giving out that grade?
What?
Stop giving out that grade.
Yeah, they say, come on, beef it up to an A, one of the comments said. Always an A-. But an A- for me, maybe it's a little bit of a safer grade. It's a really, really good grade. That means this is a top-notch film. It's an excellent film. But for my personal taste, it was lacking a few things for that A or A+. Like you said, it didn't blow me away like other films have in the past. It didn't blow me away like movies I reviewed recently. But still, it's really, really good. I have yet to watch an Indian film based on your guys' requests that has deserved a C, at least as far as I remember, a C yet. So obviously, these requests are very strong. I really enjoyed this movie, and I love Kamar in it, so A- easily for me. But let us know what you think. Those are our thoughts. Let us know what your thoughts are of this film. Let us know, for you, was it one of your favorites of the year? Was it just okay? What kind of grade would you give it? Again, for us, A, B means it's way above average. Very, very
B
good
plus
grade.
it's right there on the border.
Yeah, it just didn't blow us away like he said, but still, those are really good grades. And for me, a B- is just one step below, or a B+ is one step below a A-, so we were pretty close there. But even if we weren't close, those are our honest grades. If you like this video, go give us a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. I mean, what's wrong with you? You haven't subscribed yet, Born Reviews. We want to get this channel growing. Don't be stingy with that subscription. And if you want to check out other videos, we have several of those. We have some playlists created for our reactions and our reviews for the Indian films. So take a look, sit back and relax and enjoy. And until next time.
You take care.